Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to see you all here in Vicenza, both physically and online. We're now going to hold a conference on the cooperation between the Italian Exhibition Group, IEG, BPW, and the African Business Council.
To enforce the collaboration with women-led enterprises, that is BPW scope. We try not only to advocate for women, but we try to empower women and to help them in their construction of their businesses or their professional life. Why Vicenza? Vicenza is a town which has a very long tradition of goldsmiths. We have found in the 14th century the constitution of the Guild of Goldsmiths here in Vicenza, which comprised 150 goldsmiths. Imagine, that is an enormous number for this time. Vicenza was very famous for any kind of beautiful things made of gold, either for, say, the Venetian state, either for the churches. And they did a wonderful job. Around 1800, we had smaller shops, quite often family-led shops here in Vicenza. And then in the 1900s, the exhibition of jewellery started here in this wonderful town and has taken a very high impact right now. I think we have over 1,000 exhibitors here, which came from all over the world. So that is really fantastic. BPW Internazionale ha fatto un protocollo d'intesa.
BPW has signed a memorandum of understanding in 2019 with IEG, with the Italian Exhibition Group. This memorandum of understanding refers to the main focus we share, and that is empowering women working with gemstones, especially so with women from Africa. Indeed, raw material is indeed found in Africa, but oftentimes there's a lack of equipment, there's a lack of know-how, and we understand that providing education is most important to these women. And we do so in close cooperation also with the African Union. I'd like to welcome you again here, to wish you a fruitful session, and I would like to thank you very much to follow our conference.
Ok, buon pomeriggio.
Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all, the distinguished guests, dear friends. I'd like to welcome you all from the BPW Association. We are all Italian, so there's no point I should speak English. I believe it is only right to speak Italian. As our international president just said, we are here because we've signed an agreement in 2019 for the last 3-year time. Mrs. Maria Sur was the past president, and thanks to us, the partnership was entered into. The objective of this partnership is supporting women in the world of gemstones and gold jewelry. Good afternoon, Marco. The main target of this partnership, as of all the partnership we enter into, is to promote women empowerment and to provide women with an opportunity. Indeed, in this partner, there's also Asfour of Africa Union, because we'd like to promote the work of women in the community of gemstones, especially so in Africa. As our international president just said, in Africa, women manage mines. They have the raw material, but there's a problem in that they do not have the equipment to cut stones, to develop jewelry. And through our actions, we'd like to support women so that they can get the training they need, the education they need, and the equipment, so as to use the raw material they have. And we have members in Latin America. We travel to Latin America. There are many members that work in the world of jewelry, also in Asia and Europe, of course. BPW International, whose top objective, again, is the promotion of women. BPW is attaching greatest importance in the support of women in their own continent. We've just celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Vicenza chapter. Our association is over 90-year-old, and we are still carry out a very meaningful task, because we try and come up with a meaningful reaction to the requirements of the community at large, or the world at large. And one of the most important requirement is that to empower women in the business community, in the social lives, and in politics. And we can only do so if we can support women in the work environment, because supporting women at work will enable them to have their voices heard and to have their rights protected. Our founder in 1930, Dr. Phillips, thought in cooperation. Cooperation, indeed, was considered as the leading strategy to success. In 2023, our international president wishes to carry out actions through cooperation. So again, cooperation and partnerships are synonymous with success. Thank you very much. I would like to welcome you. I'd like to thank the Vicenza Fair for being here. I'd like to thank you all for spending your time with us. I'm confident that good opportunities will ensue after this meeting for women worldwide. All together, we shall get to the stars, as our founder used to say. Thank you very much for your hospitality. I think we should now give the floor to Mr. Carniello. Mr. Carniello is the CEO of the Goldsmith department of IEG. In January 2020, an event was held, and I still have pictures of those. There we held a business cocktail, and he wasn't familiar with us, but his gaze in the pictures was actually very telling. He was looking at us, he was expecting results, so he's not interested just in mere words, but he's interested in facts. And indeed, we hope that we can have facts to share with you. The world has come to Vicenza thanks to your work and thanks to your hospitality. So being the host, I'd like to give you the floor straight away. Thank you. Thank you very much to Carla Laura. I'm going to speak Italian since you've spoken Italian yourself. So on behalf of the Italian Exhibition Group, I'd like to thank you for being here. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the President, Mr. Lorenzo Cagnoni, and my CEO, Corrado Peraboni. And I'd like to thank BPW for using Vicenza as a platform to convey messages. We shall talk about the shared objectives. I'd like also to thank the Africa Business Council. I'd like to thank the delegate from the African community for being here and for sharing our objectives. Perhaps you've noted that what is happening downstairs where trade is happening is key for the Italian Exhibition Group, but this is not all there is. Indeed, we believe that trade fair today and in the near future are going to be times when in-depth analysis are carried out, when information is shared, when discussions are held, so as to guide at best what we should do. I believe that there are three main items that we want to contribute because we believe that this is very much part and parcel of our mission. We are supporting women actively, and this indeed one of the subjects that we are more focused on. Other talks will be held with the women, the word women in the title. We believe that supporting women should be an issue not just for our industry, but for the society at large. We also attach great importance to supporting Africa. Africa not only has mines, but human resources to be tapped. So I think that we should get a better insight in what Africa has to share. When it comes to jewelry, there's already strong connections. We have to try and enhance these connections and further promote them. The third item, which is high on our agenda, is to join partnerships with the new associations. By the way, I was forgetting that, as Carla Laura just said, we met in 2020, just before COVID broke out. It is strategic partnerships that we are very much interested in because we believe that we can't do everything by ourselves as is a platform, and we're willing to cooperate with associations such as yours association. Sustainability is a key issue. It obviously all starts with human resources training, women training. So I would like to thank you very much for being here. I would like to thank Catherine for organizing this. I'd like to thank all of BPW. I hope you have a good time at the trade fair, not just to buy items, but to enter into relationships, to get a better insight also in how we can perhaps even further improve what we do. Thank you very much, and I hope you have fruitful sessions. Thank you.
Dear Catherine, now you can continue with the greetings, and then we start with the event, please. You give the word to what you want. But now there are the greetings part. Only greetings, and then we start with the panel. Thank you.
So, my dear sisters and brothers here and online, it is my real pleasure to be here in this very, very, very important high-level panel, Africa-Italy Private Sector Collaboration towards mineral development resources and empowering women in value addition of gemstones and jewelry manufacturers. In collaboration with Africa Business Council, International Federation of Business and Professional Women, International Italian Expo Group, but with the support of the African Union Commission, which is a really, really very important cornerstones for us developing this collaboration with Italian Expo Group, because as my dear brother Marco have just said, it's not about only buying, it's actually the whole trade fair, the whole story behind we buying a gemstone or a diamond or a tanzanite or gold or platinum as a pendant. This pendant, this jewelry, piece of jewelry, means a lot to us in Africa. There are small-scale miners, women, that is digging with hammer in the mountain to get this gemstone for you. There is a huge, huge, huge opportunities for business collaboration among all of us. It really reflects to the Africa mining vision of the African Union that His Excellency Commissioner Muchanga, the Commissioner of African Union Trade, Industry, Mining, Tourism, and Economic Development will be talking about. So this collaboration, actually, we are very proud of it. As I started it when I was international president for PPW International with Italian Expo Group, and then thanks to our international president, Dr. Catherine Bosshart, to taking it forwards, to have this widening the relationship, the collaboration between Africa Business Council, International Federation of Business and Professional Women, Italian Expo Group, African Union, and FEMNET, which is the Pan-African Women Advancement and Communication Network for Africa. So this actually collaboration, what does it mean for us in Africa? It means a great. Africa, as you know, is the richest continent in the world of minerals. Gold, platinum, diamond, tanzanite, gemstones. But what's happening? Why is this not reflected on the livelihood of our women in Africa and for the general population of Africa as a whole? And this partnership, we are really looking forward to see how we empower our small-scale miners, empower our women, our African private sector, including SMEs, women and youth, to add value to the raw materials, and to make sure that this fantastic Vicentia oro, with all its beauty, with all its diamonds, is really reflecting this collaboration. And when we say that this emerald proudly from Zambia, we understand that the emerald reflected from our continent is really a piece of collaboration that is ultimately saying the story of how we empowered the women, how we really have an impact on the daily life of our African people with this collaboration. So we are very happy that we are here. Thank you, Marco. Thank you for all of you. Thank you, BBW International, because as President of Africa Business Council, which is established in line with the Heads of State Decision Summit of Africa, the Africa Business Council Committee for Mineral Development Resources is really proud to collaborate, because as we all know that all of us, when we buy our jewelry, we want to know that this piece of jewelry is affecting all of us in Africa. So thank you very much. Thank you, Carla, Laura, for making it this partnership. Thank you for my sisters of PPW here in Vicentia and for the district as a whole. I know you have just celebrated 75 years of empowering women. That is great, because in this fantastic part, Vicentia, we are very proud to be here, and also for the relation between Italy and Africa, which is a follow-up of the Africa-Europe Business Summit that European Union have already organized with African Union last February in Brussels. So this is actually really about business collaboration, business opportunities for the industry that is present here, to see how we have training schools in Africa, how we make sure that we buy machineries from Italy, and also have the great expertise of the Italian designers and the Italian to train our African private sector, including women, youth on the continent. So we have direct access to Vicentia Oro. We are really looking forward next time, inshallah, to develop this collaboration and to have an African pavilion that could have our gemstones showing cut and polished in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marit. Dear Catherine, before the others' greetings, I'm proud to introduce you, l'europarlamentare Marco Borchia. Scusi, Paolo.
So European European Member of Parliament, Paolo Borchia, Mr. Paolo Borchia. So I would say that we go on with short greetings, and then we start the meeting. Catherine? Well, I'd like to give the floor to our Executive Finance Officer. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Many thanks to the International President, to the past International President, Vice International President, and past National President, authorities, and all of you. Thank you so much for the invitation. And many thanks to the District President, Mrs. Carla Laura Petruzzelli, for organizing this very special event. And then I would like to remind myself that last year I participated in the same event, an international event, which is very important. Ours is an international organization, and so we couldn't but sign a protocol of understanding with Vicenza Oro in order to offer our business women opportunities in the area of technology, innovation, and in the area of creativity. Well, those who came before me said that women have a particular attitude towards creativity and implementing technology. So many thanks for favoring this objective, also with reference to education, because it's only thanks to education that we can foster research, and research leads to new technologies, which are the technologies of the future, above all in the area of gemstones and gold. Well, the international past president, Mrs. Magnasco, said that our association is very much focused and sensitive to these partnerships. Well, with BPW Italy in 2012, we signed a protocol of understanding with Mediterranean Network and with the business women of the Mediterranean area, above all North Africa. And these business women can enjoy fruitful exchanges and have business opportunities not only in their countries, but in the whole world. So I wish you all success on this event, and I wish our organization to go along this fruitful path of cooperation aimed at improving training and education of women. Thank you. And now I give the floor to Mrs. Cettina Corallo, National Vice President of the Italian Federation, and she conveys the greetings of Mrs. Fiammetta Perrone, the President. Many thanks. Well, I'd like to convey to you the greetings of our national president, Mrs. Fiammetta Perrone, who is present in another event. A very warm welcome to our international president and the whole international board. And then a warm welcome to all the members of BPW Italy who are present and who came from different districts. We have about 10,000 members grouped together in 7 districts, so Northwest, Northeast, and also the Sicilian district. So it's a pleasure to meet you on these occasions and also plan actions together. We have always supported women in the area of business. And this year, thanks to the program of the national president in collaboration with the various task force, we focused a lot on training and education of young women in order to promote female entrepreneurship. And among the various projects implemented by our task force, there is a project carried out by BPW Italy aimed at promoting entrepreneurship. It's a training program which was also proposed by the district of Verona. And the aim is that of training minors from 11 to 14 years of age, giving them financial education and sustainability education. Well, we had a lot of applications as speakers, and we also had the involvement of many schools throughout Italy. And we had about 1,300 students. There are various stages and various meetings which are being planned. And shortly, we will have a contest involving the students. It's a project that we believe in and that we have implemented also thanks to the collaboration of our partners. And this gives us hope with reference to women so that we can attract them to the world of entrepreneurship. Well, I hope that the partnership between us and BPW International may continue also in our territory, thanks to projects which may involve all of us. Thank you so much for the hospitality and for the organization. I would like to thank Mrs. Petruzzelli, the presidents of the various sections of this territory, and I wish you a fruitful meeting.
Tanto, signora dottoressa Corallo. Allora,
And now the institutional greetings have been completed. I would like to invite you to go back to your seats, and we now will start the meeting true and proper. Mr. Carniello has other events to attend, so thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. I kindly ask Florence André to come over to the podium.
Ross.
Ross.
Presidente Catherine, per cortesia puoi rimanere qui.
Catherine, would you like to stay here with us, please?
Puoi metterti lì al lato di... Sì, grazie. Possiamo dare il via al convegno? Bene.
So, shall we start the meeting? True and proper? Yes. So, we're waiting for the mayor. I have a problem with my phone because I dropped it in the water, and so it's broken. So something perhaps happened, but I do not know that. I would like to thank the interpreters. Thank you so much for their work, because they are translating in real time, simultaneously. And then I would like to thank the people who are not members of our federation. Well, the meeting has been organized by BPW International, and as a member of BPW Italy, I've been involved in the organization And that has been a pleasure for me. As far as I'm concerned, the partnership with IEG already started in 2009 when there was a partnership between various sections. So apart and beyond the roles and the capacities, when you belong to a federation, it doesn't matter whether you do that because that's your role, but you do that because it's what you want to do. So I'd like to welcome the speakers. Let's start from Amany Asfour.
I would like to know, please, from you, what's your goal about this partnership between Africa Business Council and others association from Africa, because in the program there are many logos, and BPW International AEG. You have been here last time in others exposition, and you have seen that there are some machines on sale that can have some, can create some products from gems, stones, diamonds, gold, silver, and they are all the products that you can find in your garden in Africa and not here. So I think that you need the know-how. So what's your goal? Why you are here? What you can suggest? What you can say? And how you can invite all BPW members to invest in Africa.
So thank you very much, my dear Carla. Well, our presence here is really having a lot of meanings of this collaboration. Africa Business Council, as I mentioned in the introductory period, that is established by the Heads of State Decision Summit, because as you all know, Africa is rich in minerals. So our journey started when I came here first as president of BPW International. Thank you, Carla, and thank for the partnership with Italian Expo Group, that I discovered that all the great, beautiful jewelry present here in Vicenza are majority, the stones are coming from Africa. While on the other hand, I come from the African continent and represented Business Professional Women International, found that this is a huge, huge, huge opportunity to see how this merge between the Italian technology, the industries here, the collaboration of the know-how with our rich stones in Africa. Because normally what happens, gemstones, for instance, it goes to Jaipur, India to be cut and polished in Jaipur, India, and big designers go there to buy these gemstones. So the main revenue from those stones doesn't come to Africa, does not come to the women on the ground, but they go to others. How, what is this collaboration is going to really create for our African continent, for our women on the ground, for our youth who are struggling of no jobs? How do this really collaboration makes creation of jobs, create wealth in Africa, have a win-win situation between our organizations? How BPW International could collaborate actually and empower our women across the world and especially in Africa? So this collaboration actually is a huge, huge, huge opportunity for all of us. I came also last year, we saw the technology expo with a lot of machineries for gold, for stones, for cutting and polishing. I said, oh my God, that is a huge, huge, huge opportunity for us. I mean, this piece of jewelry is from Madagascar. If you go Madagascar, there is a lot and lot of gemstones there. But why you are not buying from Africa? Because the cutting and polishing of the stones does not happen there. And normally what happens is that there is also not fair trade. So you can have a big rock of mineral that is exported as a raw material and then cut into small, small, small pieces somewhere else in the world where it creates all the wealth for others. So this is not fair. This is not fair for the continent. This is not fair for our women on the ground. This is not fair. So as Africa Business Council, we are the voice of the African private sector, including the women on the ground. Because a woman in Malawi or in Zambia or in Zimbabwe or in Liberia or anywhere or in Madagascar, they don't have the voice to come here to Vicenza, Oro, to come. But we are their voice. So if we find that this collaboration is a huge, especially as I mentioned with European Union last February did this Africa-Europe Business Summit, it is for a reason. And this reason is how we can really create a win-win situation, and I call it the partners of equals. So we as Africa, private sector equal to our European private sector, because we have all the minerals on the continent, but we can collaborate to have this very important technology of cutting and polishing and giving the expertise and the huge, lovely expertise of the Italian trainers and coaching us in Africa to do this. And by cutting the middle way of going to another country and coming back, it's not fair. So I believe even on the side of His Excellency Commissioner Muchanga, who will be joining us online, he will also be telling us about the Africa mining vision and the vision of the African Union of how adding value to our raw materials instead of sending it just as rocks and then transferring it into beautiful jewelry somewhere else. So this is actually, as you asked, Laura, the goal of our presence here and the story behind this partnership to create the wealth for Africa, joining hands. Because we have actually a proverb in Africa which says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if we want to go far, we go together. Thank you.
Grazie, Amany. Se qualcuno vuole fare delle domande, poi mi faccia il segno.
Well, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Well, yeah, here. Thank you so much for being here.
Sì, sì. Allora, per la regia c'è un link per...
Well, there is a link, a Zoom link for the ambassador. I think that it was sent. So when you're ready, I'm speaking to the technicians. So, Mr. Member of Parliament, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. You come from the Veneto region, close to Verona. And it's the same region as that of our finance officer. And when I told her that we would have you here, she said, how did you do that? Well, I met a colleague of yours in Turin, Mr. Panzer, and so we're very happy to have a European Member of Parliament here. Well, Member Panzer, with whom I also share the flat. So that means that you save on expenses if you share the same flat in Brussels. Well, despite your salary, I see that you want to save money. Okay. So you know about this event. You know about this objective, the objective of bringing training, technology, know-how to Africa. Know-how which is very much present here in Vicenza, but also in Piemonte, Valenza, Tuscany, and IEG is also linked with Arezzo. Well, can you please tell us, because I see that you deal with technology, business, so you know the topic very well. So really, it's your subject matter. So I ask you, what are the instruments, the tools that we can use in order to promote entrepreneurship in Africa? So how can you think that we can create something for the future? Because what's important is to know today what we can do tomorrow.
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you for your kind invitation.
Thank you very much for very nice invitation. Allow me to handle probably in Italian. But by the way, first of all, I would like to thank translators and to give my warmest welcome to Veneto region to our guests coming from other countries. Ma allora evito di esprimermi in inglese perché normalmente tendo in inglese ad essere eccessivamente monocorde e
I'm going to speak Italian, which is my mother tongue. I believe that we have to be true since this subject is so important to us. I'm very thankful for providing me this opportunity to talk to you in my capacity as a European Member of Parliament. I come from this local community. I am a part of the ITRA Commission. I deal with business and trade. I was very interested in coming here to talk to you and to listen to you. I come from the marble industry, which is one of the most important business in Verona, which is very close to Vicenza. Over the last few years, I learned a lot about the great potential of Africa. Of course, Africa has a lot to do when it comes to mining, also when it comes to marble. Africa is one of the key players, of course, when it comes to raw material and mines. So we know that the great potential is there, but I believe that we should also realize that sustainability is an important issue. Whenever reference is made to sustainability, we tend to pay lip service to it. Sustainability should be considered as a very important issue. In Africa, a lot of investors showed up coming from different countries. Their objective was trying to have sustainable development, but in fact, they were robbing a lot of resources and raw materials from the continent without promoting the local development and the local wealth. Earlier on, Carla, you referred to the potential tools we can use. Well, usually my approach is one of a businessman more than that of a politician. Of course, you have to act and think as a businessman. You are a businessman, and your core business is your voters. So your voters are your core business, but you should consider yourself not as a politician, but as a businessman. Thank you for minting this definition for me, a businessman for my voters. Well, the European Union is at present the greatest donor when it comes to developing countries. I've been taught to always make one step further. So not only should we be happy with being the greatest donor, but we should also try and see what results are achieved with that donations. I see sometimes that in Africa certain projects are launched which might not be the most effective. Whenever public money is spent, we should make sure that every cent actually lead to a positive result. Africa has a great potential, not just in terms of raw material, but also in terms of human resources. So I believe that a paradigm shift is to be obtained when it comes to our vision. And I believe that both the European Union and the African communities should make this leap forward. We should certainly preserve the environment, always with a very keen gaze at the economy, granting good quality jobs and well-paid jobs. I think that education and training are key. Italy and Europe has a lot to teach when it comes to using equipment. But I believe that we should export our know-how also in developing designs. Our equipment can be traded with raw material, but I believe that this is not enough. Africa has over 1 billion inhabitants, and by 2050, the population is going to count over 2 billion people. And this is not just to be considered as a threat for our borders. I believe that to try and obtain results, we should try and create conditions for the middle class to develop in Africa. I believe that the quality of life should improve. The international dimension is very important, not just in terms of development for our companies. I believe that we should bring about a better quality of life on the African continent as well. In 2020, $67 billion were invested in Africa. So a lot of money has been invested. And I believe that sustainability should be kept as a guiding principle.
By Zoom, perché adesso siamo collegati con l'Africa, con il presidente dell'Africa.
We're now connected with the president of the African Union, and I think that you can address your question directly.
Highlighting how Africa is now 1.3 billion people and how this African continent is really how we create wealth. So our people of Africa, our youth of Africa, could really see how we build our human resources, how we build our richness, our wealth. So that's why we are really honored to have with us online His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga, who is the African Union Commissioner for Trade, Industry, Economic Development, Mining, and Tourism. His Excellency Ambassador Muchanga is really echoing the support of the African private sector. My dear brother online, we are very honored. Thank you for coming online. I know your very big commitments. You're very busy with preparation for the African Union Summit, and that show your commitment. Would you kindly really elaborate how our Africa mining vision and how this collaboration, what are we expecting in Africa of this high-level event of private sector collaboration between African and Italian private sector for the better well of our African continent, empowering our African private sector, including women and youth, for jewelry making and value addition. The floor is yours, my dear brother.
Thank you very much, my dear sister, Dr. Amany. I'll begin by saying that I ride on the salutations made earlier at the opening ceremony. I've been following the deliberations since the opening ceremony by simply saying, Your Excellencies, Honorables, panelists, exhibitors, and the other delegates participating here, I greet each and every one of you. I'd have preferred to be with you, but the exigencies of duty across Africa made it very difficult, if not possible, for me to travel, but indicated the readiness to be part of the deliberations in the virtual format, and hence I'm with you this afternoon. On a substantive note, let me begin by saying that as we go forward, the population of Africa is going to be a major consumption hub of the world. The current population is 17% of the global total. And the scholars and the policymakers project that by 2050, it is going to be 25% of the global total. And by the year 2100, it's going to be between 38 to 40% of the global total. So this is a market of great consumption. And we have made it more attractive by creating the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is aimed at creating a single market. And hence, producers will be able to exploit large economies of scale and scope in their activities. When I was listening, I do not know Italian, but I could pick out a few words. One of the words which came out very regularly is collaboration. And I'm here really to indicate on the behalf of the African Union that we welcome very much the envisaged collaboration between Italy and Africa in promoting value addition in the mining sector. We have a policy document called the African Mining Vision, which was adopted by the heads of state and government in 2009. And we have developed about 11 clusters, but 2 clusters are very pertinent to this meeting. And those are capacity building of human beings as well as institutions, as well as the development of artisanal and small-scale mining. And our women need this very much. They need to be capacitated because a lot of them are involved in artisanal and small-scale mining. Last year, the African Development Bank came up with a study, and their study compared the level of commitment to entrepreneurship among women of the world. And it showed that the African women are the most enterprising among all women of the world. So we encourage you to embark on the envisaged collaboration. And at the level of the African Union, we are going to team up with the African Business Council, ably led by Dr. Amany, Asfour, through the African Minerals Development Center. Right now, it's in Addis Ababa, but at a later stage, it is going to move to its permanent headquarters in Guinea-Conakry. And the starting point will be the development of training centers. We hope that you'll be able to accommodate our request that we have training centers in all the 5 regions of Africa: North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. And when we've done that, we'll be able to give capacities or knowledge to the women. And as they develop, we're going to encourage most of them to be exhibiting both in the global sphere, and I would like to believe that some of the women are exhibitors in the ongoing fair in Vicenza, as well as the Inter-African Trade Fair, which is held every 2 years. And the 3rd edition is going to be held this year in November in Côte d'Ivoire. And during this exhibition, which is going on, we envisage that the women who are there will be able to be exposed to exchange of information on the development of jewelry. And those who have come up with the products that they're exhibiting, they should be able to enter into business-to-business transactions so that they become suppliers. And we really look forward to enhancing that collaboration. And at the level of the African Union, I'd like to reaffirm our commitment to enhance that collaboration. And I thank each and every one of you for listening to me and also giving me the opportunity to address you. I yield the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Commissioner. Your words are really a great support to this collaboration and blessing for our relations, because as African Union Commissioner and the Africa Mining Vision is very, very important as our way forward, our roadmap for this collaboration with reference to setting up the training centers and having this collaboration between Africa and the Italian Expo group. So thank you very much, Your Excellency. We are working on that. We miss you, but we really appreciate that you have taken this time out of your busy schedule to be with us online. And I know you're very supportive to the private sector of Africa and also for this collaboration. We thank you again, and we're looking forward really to have this collaboration to set up the training centers on the continent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Allora, grazie, dottora Amany.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to introduce the Mayor of Vicenza, Mr. Francesco Rucco, who honored us with his presence. Mr. Mayor, well, we have known each other since we were children, and we went to the same shop where to get our bread, and so we grew up together. So I call you Francesco. Now, so far, we spoke about resources in Africa, mining resources, and then technologies and know-how in order to promote industrial activity which generates well-being for the local population. So thus also avoiding the exodus from local communities and promoting well-being in the native areas. So we spoke about opportunities, technologies, machinery. We spoke about the training instruments and the approach to these training instruments, and the Member of Parliament spoke to us about that in particular. You know the area very well. You are a mayor, and you are a member of all the main local agencies, so you are very much aware of the economic, financial, and social situations. You are aware of the industrial plans for the future, which also have to do with the fair. And you're also aware of the financial resources available thanks to the national plans of the European plans of resistance and resilience. So what are the projects, the tangible projects that we can implement? What can be the objectives for the future? Can you hear me? Well, first of all, welcome to Vicenza. I know some of you. I see many friends. We had lunch together last September with some of you. I apologize for this delay, but unfortunately mayors have a characteristic. They have a lot of commitments every day, and they go around moving from the military to the Alpine forces, etc. So Mrs. Petruccelli had involved us in this project. And I have to say that yesterday we had Minister Urso on the inauguration of the fair. We had the president of the region, Mr. Zaya. And what really struck me yesterday and today, when I went around the halls, is that finally we went back to being an international city. We have all the countries here, also Asian countries have come back because you know that during the COVID pandemic, China was completely locked up. So now we have many, many countries. We are in a real globalized exhibition. So I like that, and I'm proud to represent my city and also my province. For a few days, I'm still the president of the provincial authority. We'll have a new president of the provincial authority who knows the territory very well. He knows the territory very well. And I can assure you that Vicenza Oro, well, Mr. Paragoni will not did not come. Well, Vicenza Oro remains Vicenza Oro. There are no other solutions. So here, for hundreds of years, we have been focusing on jewelry, on gold making. So whatever is know-how, not only in terms of production, working, but also in terms of machinery and technologies. So this is the place where engineering was developed and exported in other countries in the world. There are companies which are here in the fair and they are promoting their products. And I think that it's a very topical issue because At a time of exodus from African countries to European countries, well, Italy is a natural harbor, as you know, and what is being done is to work with young people who arrived here to our country. So I think that the young generations coming from those countries should think about going back to their countries and work based on the new technologies and know-how. Well, we have professional schools, vocational schools here in Vicenza who teach really students how to become designers, how to become workers. Every week we have dozens of people coming from many other countries. I also go personally to welcome them and I give them the citizenship. Well, I think it's important for them to bring back to their countries what they learned here. Countries of origin where they have a high level raw materials, minerals. So some of these people may create and set up their own companies in their countries of origin. This could be an epoch-making issue as compared to what S.p.A. often does with them, that is forcing these people to abandon their homes. They are forced to leave their houses because they are desperate, because they have no jobs, because they have no future. So there are many African countries. I don't want to make examples, but I know many people coming from those countries, and they are telling me that there is an important growth in general terms. But in some areas, they cannot really make it yet. And, well, I know Mr. Borchia, he is a friend of mine, and it's important, it should be important that Europe should not only be interested in managing the migration flows, but they should give a hand to these people in their country of origin. I think that could be the best way to work for the future. So you can answer if you want. Well, we're ready for the revolution. Well, I'm just a mayor. I cannot make revolutions. Well, we can support you. Revolution in a positive way. Yeah, of course, we are non-violent, at least in physical terms, in verbal terms. Oh, I don't know. So do you think that this revolution could start from Vicenza? Well, it's a good idea. Well, this afternoon, I have listened to many good ideas, practical ideas, and I'm happy that the mayor, well, we didn't speak about that before. I promise you. Well, in terms of the migration issue, I think that currently there is no continent globally which has the potentials of Africa, not only in terms of raw materials or mineral materials, but also in human terms. So if we can actually work in that direction, leaving aside prejudices, so if you can really understand that we do not want any extreme position on either side, well, I think that we have the prerequisite for this positive turn. So we're ready to work with you. We can start. Now, we spoke about mining resources, we spoke about potentials, we spoke about entrepreneurship, and we spoke about territory. And you, Francesco, spoke about training and education. Well, I see that we have a very famous designer, Mr. Cosimo Vinci. Please, would you come over to the podium? So we have also blue shares and not only female shares. Cosimo Vinci is a designer. Do we have a chair? Well, you're a famous designer. You do not come from Vicenza, but you have been adopted by Vicenza.
Sì, esatto.
And you come from Puglia. So it's not yet the Bermuda Triangle, but well, Cosimo, when we first met, you spoke about the importance of training and education, which is a prerequisite for then making a product. And you're also a teacher. Can you tell us about the importance of training, not per se, but as a way to share competencies, skills, etc.? Well, I like to speak about yeah, perhaps closer, yes. Well, we should speak about lifelong training, not only for teachers, but also for students. And I'd like to start and say that I make myself available to go into Africa for some activities there.
Tengo corsi a livello internazionale, l'ultimo prima della pandemia.
Well, I already did something in Istanbul and in other countries. Well, sometimes I was criticized because they told me, well, you bring your export expertise abroad. Well, I don't export the Italian method, but I'm saying that each country should be based on their own know-how. So starting from the territory, I taught the Turks not to copy Italians, but I taught them a method which starts from their origin, and so can you repeat this notion, please? So accept, transform, and recreate it. So accept something, elaborate it, and then redevelop it. So you have to create your own situation. You have to work on your own origin. Well, we as designers already do that, and Africa has always been a source of inspiration. It's enough to think of art, Picasso, for example. Primitivism, going back to origin. So Africa is the mother of everything. We come from there. So, as the mayor said, we have to thank Africa, giving them something in the territory. And I agree with the mayor. You have to do training there, or have, for example, exchanges. Thank you for the applause. Well, I have two handbooks already translated in several languages, Chinese also. They are best sellers. And I would like to have a real academy, and I'm launching a challenge here, so an Academy of Gold. We have an international fair, so what we need is an international academy, not only for the Veneto people, for the unemployed, but something which creates a culture, a sort of a workshop, a laboratory. So we always bank on goldsmiths, but we too import from other countries, Milan, Turin, and I'm launching my bombs here. Why shouldn't we have a Vicenza Academy in the Basilica, for example, in the underground? So the handbooks are there, the teachers are there. I already have a program, an international program. We have also Alberta Vita. Yeah, she will tell us about the jewels.
Thank you for your promise to come to Africa. And we start a training center. You come and train some of our women there.
We must try to envelop the
Alla
school.
traduzione simultanea, puoi parlare in italiano.
No, voglio dire che siamo disposti
So we already have programs. We know the subject matter very well, because what is really important is to use the Bauhaus model. You know, the Bauhaus, Gropius set up that school in the 20s, which for us is still really a flag, where the relationship between students, enterprises and schools was based on the same level. So students were involved in workshops. Our students already have these training sessions, but it's important to have a link with the market, with the sector. So not to create art just for the sake of art, but to involve it in a business cycle. And Africa can be the flag. Africa is important for fashion. Think of fabrics, for example. We always take inspiration from Africa every day. So we have to create this combination, the merger of different cultures, our culture and the African culture. Well, you mentioned Walter Gropius. Well, I'll tell you a story. I went to the home of a student of architecture who was studying with my brother, and close to her desk there was a poster of this very charming man. Well, it's difficult for me to say that a man is charming. Anyway, yeah, Gropius was very charming, fascinating. With the coat, white shirt, and with the writing, I am Walter Gropius and I am an architect. And I told my friend, well, what a poster. And she said, yes, it's my stimulus to get in a degree in architecture. Yeah, he was a visionary. Yeah, that was really a stimulus. So you could say, I am Cosimo Vinci, I am a designer. You could make a poster as well. I know that you have to go. But before you go, I would like to say thank you for coming. Thank you so much, because you gave us a short story, which is very important. You told us about this passion that you have. If you want to stay, I see that there is a friend of ours who should have been here, but the flight to Amsterdam was cancelled. So
my dear sisters here and brothers.
Sorry, Dr. Amany, il sindaco has to go, so io ti ringrazio per essere venuto qui. Certo, ci mancherebbe.
I'd like to thank the mayor for being with us. Please apologize if I interrupt you again. I have to leave you. I would like to thank you for granting me this opportunity. I'd like to thank you for highlighting the importance of Vicenza. I'd like to thank European Member of Parliament, Mr. Borghi. I would like to thank Cosimo as well. I would like to thank you all for playing host to this meeting. If you spend a few days in Vicenza, there's an invitation for you. Go look at the city. There's a nice exhibition you should look at on there's important show on Egypt at the Palladio Church. Christian Greco has curated it, and he's the manager of the Museum of Egypt in Turin. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for coming here. We're ready to trigger this revolution. The city is ready, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, of course. Yes, we have to go to the Egyptian Museum in here.
Grazie ancora di tutto.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Amany, may you introduce your guest, please.
So it is my pleasure really here to introduce our sister Marit. Marit is the CEO for the Executive Director for the FEMNET, which is the Pan-African Women's Communication and Development Network in Africa. It's a network of many organizations across the continent. She was supposed to be with us here, but unfortunately her flight from Amsterdam today was canceled because of the weather, so she's stuck now in Amsterdam, but I am happy you could join us virtually. Marit, really, all this collaboration between Africa and Italy with the Italian Expo Group is about empowering our women, empowering our African women to add value to the raw materials and to make sure that we create wealth for our women. You are a geologist. You know how much minerals we have in Africa. You are the executive director for the biggest network of African women on the continent. Please share with us your thoughts. How do you think this collaboration we can do? And we have here with us one great designer that is promised to come to Africa to support and to train and coach our women on the continent. And he is actually giving us this that I will be giving it to you to see this is the first step towards collaboration with Africa and Italian designers to add value to the raw materials. So I give you the floor, my dear Marit.
Thank you so much, President Dr. Amany, Your Excellencies, organizers of these high-level panels, the exhibitors, the President of the Africa Business Forum, Your Excellency Muchanga, the President and the Board of the President of the Business Professional Women International. So good to see you, Dr. Catherine Bosshart, and all the business and professional women leaders and members, the representatives from the different countries, and of course the global exhibition director, Dr. Marco Caniello. Thank you so much for such a high-level panel. I want to observe all protocols, and I'm so honored to have this opportunity to participate, but to also see for myself Europe's largest exhibition of jewelry and innovations in this sector. It is such an honor that Dr. Asfour has been passionately pushing and saying we need to have this partnership. And I will echo what Dr. Muchanga said. You might have been speaking in Spanish, but the word and the spirit for partnership really came out, and I want to truly appreciate. For me, this space is very, very important to me at a personal level. Like Dr. Asfour said, I am a geologist, And I know on the African continent, what we might know has not even been exploited. We still have a lot of exploration. We still have a lot of areas, and there's a lot of value on the continent which we can collaboratively benefit. And the panel just before this high-level panel was talking about a just transition, was talking about sustainability, and this comes at a very right time for us to see how do we link having a partnership that is creating jobs, but that is also transference of skills, but also that is also considerate of ensuring that we are doing everything in a sustainable manner. We are also recognizing that we do have a global climate crisis. So how do we ensure that we are within ensuring that when women are mining, artisanal miners across the continent, they are also doing it in a way that ensures that the land is resourceful and the land is not destroyed completely, by doing it in a sustainable manner. And I think this is why we need to have the technology closer. This is why we need to ensure that even the carbon footprint is reduced by having training centers, by having machinery where it is actually closer to the miners, but also ensuring that we are reducing some of the barriers that happen. We know that 25 million in sub-Saharan Africa directly depend on their livelihoods on artisanal mining, and it has a very low barrier of entry. So you find it employs a lot of the population, the young women, the youth, is who cannot get jobs in the main market are also able to get jobs in this market. And as alluded to, Africa is the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement, which is creating a market that is going to allow 1.3 billion people across 55 Africa countries. And it has a gross domestic product of 2.5 trillion. So this is a market, a single market, which can generate new trade and entrepreneurship opportunities for women and the youth. Like I said, when we talk about jewelry, when we talk about the intrinsic value of the stones, I think it's also important to know that our appreciation is also the recognition about how our stones are more and more supporting wellness, have a healing element to it. So we are not just talking about endowing ourselves, but they offer a lot of healing. So there's a lot of indigenous knowledge as well in all the stones in terms of even how they were used. And that element is also important for it to be documented, for it to be used. I hear that people want to go to Egypt to see how Egypt as a country even generated and created a stone and a jewelry, in its ancient Egyptian. So there is that intrinsic knowledge, which is also very important. As FEMNET, we are working on a project on economic justice, a program which we are calling Fair for All. So what are we saying when you say Fair for All? We want to mobilize African women across the continent to be able to protect their environment, to also promote women's economic empowerment through the different value chains. So this also means that balancing developing countries' reliance on dominant primary commodity value chains, but ensuring that there's reformation within the macroeconomic policies, the tax policies, and the trade regimes, and also increasing investment in the local and national value chains that benefit the small-scale artisanal miners, in particular women, as well as their commodity. And how are we going to do this? We are, as FEMNET, we are really pushing to co-create alternative business practices which share more value equally and that empower women. to advocate for more responsible private and financial sector that really upholds land rights, decent work, living wages, women and environmental rights, for them to be able to act as well as to also be sustainable. And to also ensure that our governments have regulatory frameworks that are inclusive and that also welcome such interventions as well as partnership. So what are we promising? I think I have three things just to three things that I really want to emphasize. And one of the things that Dr. Asfour has been talking about is we want to see money getting to women who are at the front line. But how can that be done? We want to ensure that there is value which is appreciated from source to market. So three things. The first one is skills. We have on the African continent the perfect environment. We have member states who are willing to ensure that they will address any barriers that could counter any partnership. We have partners who are also willing to avail themselves and who also have the skills. We have schools, we have a lot of willingness for the community to benefit. And I'm going to be just quoting Dr. Asfour today, but in a words of win-win. The second thing is that I think we are promising to be solving one of the problems that we all face, and one of the problems of the huge bulge, the forced migrations, which is happening on the continent, the conflicts that we know are prevalent in most of the areas where we find most of these minerals. So if we can together ensure that we have created employment on the continent, we have created value for these minerals, then it is indeed a win-win situation. And I think the last is to say the transference of skills and innovation is so important, especially in this decade where there's a lot of digital transformation, but we still need the expertise, we still need the hardware, and I am so hopeful that this partnership is a beginning that not only will it attract the government of Italy and the private sector of Italy, but also other European Union countries as well. I think it is about time of addressing the climate crisis, the migration crisis, the conflict crisis, and also embedded in that, dealing with the gender inequalities for us to progress in what we've been talking about, a just transition, which is holistic. So once again, thank you so much. I'm so honored, and I do hope that we'll be able to ensure that we are creating and we are seeing value between Africa and Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Memory, for really illustrating the whole thing for economic empowerment of women and justice to really, and the win-win situation, and how we really add value, and how really the motto for us is from mine to market, from the mining sector, the small-scale women in the mining sector, how we are able to get it to the international market, which is value added. So thank you very much, Memory. It's been a great for having you with us, and we will work together. We have with us here from European Parliament. Yes, he will take it through in order to see how we can move forward to establish those training centers and to galvanize all the European members also. And we have here our designers from Italy who is ready to come and really make it to train some of our women. Thank you, Memory. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And e ora, dopo che abbiamo parlato.
So we've been talking about training, about this partnership with other associations, and now we should touch upon the subject matter, the jewel, the gold jewel that can be used not just for cosmetic purposes. I'd like to thank Florence Anglais. Welcome to Venice. She's the president of the Club of Geneva. We've never met before, but we met online during the pandemic. So what I always say is that friendship can be the result of online meeting. She's a good friend of mine. We've been, again, into a friendly relationship online. So this is, I believe, a very good result of the COVID. I'm going to speak in English.
Yourself, please, about your job, and may you explain us what we can do with a diamond, very nice, with the jewels, with gold, and so on.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
As you prefer. What you prefer.
Merci beaucoup. So, dear Carla, dear BPW, dear speakers, thank you so much. And it's a real pleasure for us to be here. I've got also some other members from BPW Geneva here.
Please welcome
Joanna
un
and
applauso.
Doris.
Grazie da Ginevra.
So thank you so much, and it's a real pleasure to speak today. And also because we have spoken a lot about sustainability. And it's a field where I'm involved in, not only on sustainability and risk management as well, but sustainability today is a real focus. And sometimes we can mention sustainability, ESG, environment, social, and governance. And we need to consider sustainability in diamonds as well. Because, when you're considering mining industry, it's a male-dominated world. And you can see that now, today, we've got more and more women. And why? Due to technology. Because more and more women are able today to take these kind of roles according to the digital and technology that is evolving. And that is very important today to consider that women may be more involved. And it's also important to consider that education, formation is a real key for that. When we are considering equality, and BPW is very involved in gender equality, we are Equal PD. And it's really important for women to get involved and maybe to be more involved from 2% to 10% in that specific aspect. And what was mentioned before in the mining, when you've got a rough diamond, it's not the value of the diamonds. In the diamonds, you should consider the 4C values. So you've got clarity, you've got cut, you've got carat, and that's carat that, yes, exactly. And when you're considering the cut, the cut has a real an important value, and the way you cut, the way you polish diamonds, that will change a little bit and much more the value, namely the clarity as well. And so you need to consider this specific aspect, as you mentioned before, Amany. So you need to have the expertise in order to do that. And what I will mention also when we are considering sustainability, you need to consider that the buyers, the final buyers of the diamonds may consider as well sustainability and traceability in the diamonds. And a lot of buyers today are millennials. And when you are considering millennials, Generation Z, they are now considering the aspect of traceability, where the diamonds are coming from, and that's real key in terms of buyer, and if you are a seller, you need to consider that. And when you are considering diamonds, in the diamond industry, there are several standards, and one of the standards is about GIA, And when you are now looking at the different society involved in diamonds, you've got some few, and they are considering ESG report because they know today that sustainability is very important, but it's not only for the buyers, but also for the main stakeholders. And that's a very important aspect to consider, because when you are looking at sustainability, you should consider the involvement of all the stakeholders, not only the buyers, but also the community, and you need to get to have everybody involved in the industry. And that's a way to have a better society. And we say that diamonds are women's best friends,
of
and
course.
with sustainability, we can say it will remain. Thank you.
Thank you. Allora, un'informazione per la
Just a piece of information for the technicians. We go on until 4, and then we have a coffee break offered by BPW International. We resume at 4:15 because then at 5:30 you can leave and take the bus to Verona. And in the second session, we will speak about our members and other artists who deal with jewels. So we will have a networking session on the topic. Now, before concluding, I'd like to give the floor to another guest who comes from abroad. We welcome her, Ros Bertuccio, who is a member of BPW Ticino, and also a member, well, they have a different terminology. Well, please, I ask you to keep silent, otherwise there is a disturbance on the online connection. She is a member of the Central Direction Committee of Switzerland. You have to be very precise and accurate. So she was elected, and she is a member of BPW Ticino. I had the pleasure to meet her when we visited them to celebrate the 75th anniversary. We welcome her. And please tell us about your experience in the area of jewels and, well, you are also connected with finance, and we know that finance is very important in Switzerland.
Diamole il benvenuto però, caspita.
So an applause of welcome. Well, first of all, I have to correct something. Yeah, you were in Switzerland. Well, as far as relates to business and jewels, I know absolutely nothing. Well, I'm not worried about that because you have a lot of resources. So you don't want to create false expectations. Well, I'm also the last speaker, so I'm very much concerned and worried because everybody already said everything. Is that clear? So I am in clinch, as the Germans say. That is, in difficulty. Laura said that I belong to the Central Committee of Switzerland. This is correct. Well, something correct that I said, okay. But, and I underline, but I represent the smallest region and the less significant region in Switzerland. That is the Italian region. As far as this Italian part is concerned, it's called Ticino. Sorry, I know that I'm telling you obvious things, but you know, I'm panicking, and so I'm inventing something. Well, in Ticino, there is just one club, and the population is about 350,000 inhabitants. That is the inhabitants of Iceland. Well, I had written down something because my computer got broken. I didn't launch it from the window. Well, I love her already. She's a myth. Please take a picture of the two of us. So I wrote down something by hand on this sheet of paper. Please look at it. Well, because I'm an elderly person, and so I still use paper. Do you want me to read it? Because it will be a repetition. Okay, I'll read it. Dear BPW friends and dear participants in the Vicenza Oro Fair, as a member of the Central Committee of BPW Switzerland and as representative of BPW Ticino, I'm very honored to be a member, to be here today. Well, I have to say that this has been the first time that I come to this fair, and I apologize for that. Education is the area that I worked in during most of my life. Education is fundamental in every person's life because it helps us improve one's own conditions, both psychological, social, and political. I am specialized in gender studies, and I think that the psychological side is extremely important because all the colleagues and friends here spoke about stereotypes. It's stereotypes which are killing the whole human population. At a cognitive level, we haven't yet learned how to improve. Well, we improved at a social level, at a political level. We have democratic countries, but in cognitive terms, we're still struggling. And stereotypes, which are very much focused on in the area of psychology. So I believe that this is fundamental. Now, I go back to what I was saying before. So this helps me focus my attention and activity on the difficulties and discriminations that women are faced with in all human societies. So it's extremely important to have education, enabling us to have a dignified life. And in order to have a dignified life, you also have to be financially independent. Of course, well, psychological independence is a different story. It's difficult to achieve it. And that's the fundamental topic. In order to achieve that objective, we need... I still have a page to read. We need to implement appropriate education and training courses which require money in order to enable students to have the appropriate knowledge in order to make high-quality products. So this has to do with our topic. In Africa, there are the raw materials which are at the origin of the wonders that you can admire at this fair. It would be good that the working of raw materials could take place in the country of origin, and we should have the appropriate training courses and also the machines and the technologies. So I really advocate that we can focus on women in order to achieve those objectives. A woman called Waris Diri said to the UN Assembly, African women are the pillar of the continent. So you have to give them the opportunity to show what they can do. Thank you.
Allora, Ross, io ti faccio I miei complimenti.
So, congratulations. You reminded me of Professor Ettore Gallo when he opened the conference on tax trials. He was president of the Constitutional Court, he was a judge, and he started and said, well, I have been invited here because I know the people that invited me, but I know nothing about the topic. But then he did an incredible lectio magistralis, and you reminded me of Professor Ettore Gallo. So you really opened your speech saying that you wouldn't speak about the topic, but you really made an excellent speech. Thank you. So we are Swiss inside, so it's 5 to 4. So we stop for 15 minutes. There is the toilet down there, and please come back at 4:15. Thank you.
Already established partnerships, and we really need to focus on it. The designer,
Cosimo.
The design. So I think. I think this is a real fantastic panel, because this panel already have solid, now there is a solid recommendations from this panel. We have heard from European Parliament, and it's very important. He already stressed that it's really a win-win situation, because empowering women and youth in Africa will create wealth, so nobody will cross Mediterranean for Europe.
And
so
the second part, Dr. Mani, there are other surprises. So
yes,
stay tuned for the second part. Now we have the coffee break.
Yeah, I know we have the coffee break, but I needed, before we finish this and have some food security, to have some security for the promises that we got, you see?
Absolutely. They don't go out without the promise, okay?
Yes, yes. And I really echo what you said, very important for sustainability, because that is exactly what we're working on. When you put a piece of diamond on you, you need to make sure there is no child labor, there is no harassing, there is no, so it has to be also traceability. So when it comes to you, you are very sure that this really diamond is a fair trade, is traceable, that have good human rights, good labor, and it is very important to really stress on sustainability with reference to extracting the the raw materials. So I would like to thank Carla very much for moderating this session, and thank all the speakers, thank our international president, Dr. Catherine Bosshart, for this important panel. And I am sure now when we go for coffee break, to have networking and come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Thank you so much for staying. And Malik, can you sit here?
About the products. Dai Michela, siediti qua. No, vieni qua. Allora, nella seconda parte noi dobbiamo parlare di quelli.
So, we're going to speak about the results of the working of the raw materials. Thank you so much for staying. I know that many of you had to go. I know that you have the bus at 6, and we will finish by 5:30. What about you? Do you have to go? Well, I would say I have a couple of meetings, and so if there are no specific questions for me, well, I think that you can go after a short word of goodbye. Well, thank you so much for the invitation. You always do that at the beginning of a talk, but the fact of having listened to many of you and having had the opportunity to speak to many of you during the coffee break actually helped me understand the true value of such an initiative. I hope that I will continue to work with you. I hope we will have a relationship, a continuous relationship with you. Well, we didn't speak about stupid things this afternoon. We didn't just listen to words, but we listened to many important issues. Our friends, the ones connected with us online, were very clear. To play a tango, there have to be two of you. So it takes two to play a tango, as they say. So I think that if you want me again, I'll meet you again next year. So, well, we do not only want you among us, but we will continue to have a connection with you. We know where to go to. So if you accept to listen to us, we will expose your ideas to you. Yes, because 1 hour ago I became the entrepreneur of my voters. Okay, so you're already speaking about royalties. Thank you. Thank you also for your empathy. So perhaps we will meet again in April.
Grazie. Allora, adesso la
Very well. Now, we will focus more on the association. Our international president launched the issue of new actions through cooperation. Well, Catherine, would you like to explain the focus of your international approach? Because you have to confess that we've had difficulties in understanding this topic. And as you are here, perhaps you could explain that to all of us. Well, I got this idea from my work with the UN. If you could stay closer to the microphone. Well, at the UN, many things can be done thanks to collaboration and cooperation. And there are many associations there which collaborate together, and there are no differences between the various associations. We work together, everything goes fine. And so I think that this is a good thing, so to have a worldwide collaboration, because there are many projects to work on. We, together, have such collaboration in Latin America, and the Global Compact asked for a report. We didn't have much time, and so we worked together with Giuseppina and her colleague. And we've seen that there are 296 projects in our data bank. So we said it's incredible to collaborate and to see that you can collaborate with other associations, and that's very important. Before the election, I had this idea about the directory. And thanks to this international visit card, we can involve all the members throughout the world. It's not just a club, it's not just a federation, the one which is being launched, but every member can get in connection and reach out to another member. And it can happen that a member works in a different country abroad, and another member offers the flat, for example, and so they can collaborate. So that's the meaning of your idea. Yes. To enable members to get closer together, not only in business terms, but also in terms of the association, and collaborate much more. We, as women, and I'm sure that Rose will agree with me, we, as women, tend to have our small nest and remain in our nest and not go out. Well, we are a good example. We have Switzerland here. We have many members from throughout Italy. Yeah, certainly. It was an excellent start. So let's see what happens in Italy. Our international past president, what can you tell us about the situation? Well, first of all, good afternoon to all those present. Dear Laura, we have Sicily here, the northwestern district, Sicily, southeast. So actually, the 7 districts are all representative. Well, we have an international vice president, a national vice president, a president of the district, and myself. And actually, it's possible to create that team. So we already answer to the first part of the request, that is cooperation, sharing, and the creation of the group. Obviously, the task of the national past president is to implement guidelines to share. And so I implemented that plan, which was sent to all the sections in our territory. And I chose some steps. That is the setting up of a team. So you said that the setting up of the team was very important. And we took from you the slogan, teamwork, dreamwork. So if you work as a team and if you share, if you collaborate, you can really make the difference. One single person, one single voice may not be enough. So the setting up of a team and the shared choices made with that team will enhance that knowledge society where research and innovation stimulate the progress and the growth at a national level. And then some action areas have been identified, and we kept to the Agenda 30 with reference to the 7 objectives described by the agenda. And from there, projects were devised. So I particularly focused on 2 projects, one related to a micro area, which is safety of women, and then another macro area is AI, lights and shadows. So I think that these 2 topics that I asked the sections to work on very well inscribe into the current topic and have to do with the issue of entrepreneurship. Well, one of the most ambitious objectives of our association is empowerment of women, and we have instruments in order to enhance and empower women. We believe that intelligence, imagination, creativity, and networking are the main ingredients in order to open up a business and make it grow. So I think that these initiatives can be a basis, a fundamental pillar to build a business. So on the one side, safety and security of women, meaning the implementation of women's choices, and on the other side, the use of digital technologies, which open up scenarios which were unthinkable of up to some time ago. And with reference to that, I would like to recall the success of meetings that we held in Sicily on metaverse. Real reality turned into virtual reality with a view to enhancing real reality and the importance of this digital technology, which is documented by the results presented also here, where gold art has really reached the top. And with reference to that, I would like to raise one question. So, dear Rose, I too wrote something by hand because I'm differently young. And as I'm not technological 100%, well, certainly technology helps a lot if you can use it appropriately. And for that reason, you need to train. You need to train young people so that they use these technologies in the best possible way. Looking at the lights and not the shadows, but we need to know the shadows to be aware of those shadows. Now, I raised a question. Is the digital technology the key to enhancing women entrepreneurship? Now, so I wanted to focus on that. In Europe, women who do not work because of family issues amount to 31%, sorry. In Europe, women who do not work because of family issues amount to 31%. And the share is growing. This is something that is written in the Avis report. So women continue to be underrepresented in management positions and have a lower salary as compared to men. In Italy, the rate of women unemployment is 18% lower than that of men. But nevertheless, Italian women are more educated. Degree holders amount to 24% as compared to 16% for men. But STEM degrees are chosen by a small share of females, women. So we need to do something. We need to implement plans to modify this trend, also increasing the skills, the digital skills of women. So it is necessary to interact and work with all the social groups in order to support women and young people's work and to increase the number of businesses managed by women. Digitalization could really be a platform from where to start. In June, thanks to the contribution of 14 clubs, we tackled a very delicate issue, that is metaverse, a journey between two worlds, where we focused on the world of engineering and entrepreneurship, the economic world, medicine, digital health, sociology, psychology, and where we analyze the development of society in a more digital context, including the legal issues related to the metaverse. Today, we hear a lot about the metaverse. I remember that up to some time ago, it was a completely new word. Well, today, there are studies on the metaverse and its implications and the consequences on the world. And apparently, according to a recent study, Map of the Metaverse by the Observatory on the Metaverse, well, there are about 350 million people and 43 digital worlds which already exist. But who lives in this world? Is it more women or more men? As far as Italy is concerned, only 25% of people are aware of the term metaverse and know what that means, while 41% hardly heard about it. With reference to women, 38% are not interested, and 45% of women, so 45% of the people interviewed are women. Hence, the need to make people aware of this and invite women to understand the applications and the opportunities of the digital world in order to overcome the gender gap. So the metaverse can actually help change the global economy and create new opportunities for all those who use it. And for that reason, all the main stakeholders should understand this dynamic, and women could be users of the metaverse or users of digitalization in general. So another question arises. What are the advantages for companies?
Segretaria.
Cara Cettina, posso chiederti?
Dear Cettina, do you think you can draw your conclusions? Thank you for doing so. So now going to my conclusive remarks, I would like to say that the metaverse, with the setting up of a parallel world, a world where you can enter into developing our avatars, enabled us to assess different situations, showcasing our jewels that will get into the virtual wallet of the owner when the owner buys an NFT. So this obviously touches on different industries of fashion and what have you. So we'll be able to show whatever fits our requirements best. So when I look at the metaverse, I think that there are good opportunities ahead of us. I would like to thank the organizers for this event. I would like to thank you for speculating on these issues, as is in the mandate of our associations. And I'd like to conclude quoting a man, i.e. Vittorio Bachelet. Us, and I consider this us as us women, so us in general, us as men and women, in this society should become a strength, a positive strength to build for the future. Thank you. I'd like to connect to what you were saying earlier on, what women can do in consideration of the digital world. And again, in an international framework, I think that we identify two different parts. There's an honor we have in that there's a journalist amongst us. And we've been positive opportunities. This is, I'm talking to this journalist who's based in Dubai, who had the opportunity to travel with our international president.
So you can say your opinion about their job, because you are an expert about this market area. Yes. But before to introduce our BPW members, I would like that you introduce yourself, so sure. They have an idea about your job. Yes. Thanks, and welcome here in our meeting.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Samah Wahbe. I'm a TV presenter in Dubai, and I have my own magazine specialized with the fine jewelry and luxury watches. It's called the Jewellery Tales, and it's a digital magazine. So I have a long experience in the shopping TV to sell the jewelry, fine jewelry and luxury watches. It's the only channel in Arab world. So after almost like 15 years as a head of production, producer and TV presenter on, it's called AMDC, it's very big channel in Arab world. I decided to open my own business. It's called the Jewellery Tales magazine. And I think from the name you will understand about the magazine. It's about storytelling of the jewelry brand or piece, or even the story of designers. And the nice things about my magazine, it support small business and small designer, especially they have no budget to make a marketing or advertising or promote. If they have like small budget, I can support them in my magazine. The nice things, this magazine is a digital magazine, and I have a big number of viewership. And even the database, we have a big number in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and GCC area. So I'm happy here because also we can support women in Africa, also the designer, to promote it in the Middle East or in GCC area with my touch as a production, TV presenter, journalist, in the same time on my magazine.
So you are in the right place, absolutely.
Sure, sure.
Absolutely.
I hope I can support. It's my pleasure, and this is my message, not just for the big brand. I'm working with the big brand, but in the same time, I want to support small business, especially in the jewelry sector, because I know a lot of women's they do their own brand or own designs in their home, and I always support them in my social media and also in the digital magazine.
So you are in the right place, because
sure,
there is
sure.
the problem about the main brand that have all the market. So for small producers or designers, it's a good opportunity.
Yes.
So I invite you to listen our BPW members, what they do, so you can have an idea about that, about our job.
Yes, sure.
Susanna, thank you to be here. Listen, I can translate for you because you don't have the
no
immediate.
Worries, it's okay.
If you don't understand something, ask me. Okay. Grazie, quindi benvenuta.
So welcome to you. So she works for the small brand, and now on to Susanna, our past president. As analyzed our resources. We got to know other jewel designers, and I'd like to invite also her to have the floor. I'd like to welcome you all again, but thank you very much for being here. This is all I have to say because we've been together for a while now. Let me just remind you that the partnership with BPW International has been entered into when I was district president. And as a matter of fact, I came to Vicenza to welcome our members of the BPW International. As a matter of fact, I was there again as a delegate from our country, Italy. And I was very pleased to see that this partnership is growing further. And as a matter of fact, the words that have been spoken today are actually evidence of that in my capacity as a past president of the district. I have been trying to have all the past presidents on board of the different districts. And I heard about some members of the district because as members of the presidency of the district, we've set an objective for ourselves, that of promoting our members, to make our members better visible. As was said, this is an area, again, as many others, where men prevail. And what we are trying to do is, again, to attach great importance to women. Indeed, there are many friends of the district and also other friends not for the district that should get to know us, because this is certainly one of the focuses of FIDAPA, my association. So I'd like to introduce you a few names. Anna Negrelli from Trieste, who had her knee operated on, so she wasn't well and couldn't join us. Anna Negrelli is a member with a degree in architecture. She's very creative, and she always wanted to develop her potential. She attended different shows, competitions, and she has won many prizes. She's also participated into graphical work shows.
A Milano, nell'ambito di un...
She also has her works exhibited in Milan.
Del gioiello contemporaneo, quindi
also at an event promoting contemporary jewels. So this new member is a designer of contemporary jewels. Then there's Monica Buia of Padua. Can you stand up? Here she is. Monica Buia. We can put our hands together. Maybe you want to say a few words yourselves, just a couple of words into a mic, otherwise I can read. Unfortunately, words that are spoken outside the microphone cannot be translated. Just a couple of minutes, so you can introduce yourselves. I'm a gemologist. I have been a gemologist for some 20 years. And very much focused on developing jewels, where it is the shape of the gemstones that plays the lion's share. I also develop jewels with raw materials, pretty unique jewels. As was said earlier on, this is a work based on ongoing research. especially on the raw gemstones. Thank you very much, Monica. Thank you for coming up stage. Now, there's another member who's here. She comes from Trieste as well. But she's a very special jewel designer. She is an expert in needlework. Thank you for giving me the floor, Luisa De Fanti. Thank you for your kind words. I'll try and summarize my job. I work with needle and thread, or crochet, or another technique like knit. So we can do something sophisticated. Well, this is what you see. This is my preferred necklace that I have developed myself, but over and above the final result, which is a nice piece of work. And by the way, I'm not just developing jewels, but the other knitted products. But apart from that, I have become a member of Tufidapa, and I am a member also to other associations in my hometown, Trieste. I'm trying to attach the importance to something which is often considered just as a hobby for a housewife, something that usually receives very little attention. Well, I'm trying to push further. I've been using installations, works of art. I've been taking my work in UK and Australia, trying again to push these techniques further. Over the years, I've been developing a community, and I've been using the internet, by the way, as we were saying earlier on again. It is true that women stay at home. It is true that through the screen, they can actually get in touch with the rest of the world. It is this the way I followed to teach. I developed an international community of women who were interested in learning with the different techniques so that they could turn them into something a bit more important but just the little piece of work that you developed at home because you've nothing else to do. And this again led me to teaching a lot, led me to writing handbooks with the greatest publishing houses in Italy. And last but not least, I've also developing handbooks for beginners in the US. So hopefully you can establish some kind of connection with her. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is what I'm trying to do. I've been trying to work in this area for some 20 years, and I'm just at the very beginning. Thank you. Now, I'd like to introduce you another member who's part of my section. This is a member whose business is with jewelry. When I told her that I was going to Vicenza, it was kind of everyday routine for her. I asked her for a resume, but she wouldn't send it because she said that I have my own approach when it comes to jewels. Shows she has a strong passion for her job, and this is a passion that she has passed on to me. I'd like to share with you a couple of photographs, so perhaps we can have them on the screen. So here's a piece of jewelry. This is something that reminds me of my mom. She wanted to show that gemstone at best. What do you think this gemstone is? Amber. So this friend of mine made me understand the difference between this piece of amber coming from the Baltic countries and the amber from Barbados, which is in the palettes of the blues. And then this is a necklace, as you may see, a two-color necklace. There's rhodoperoxite that my mother brought from Argentina, together with black onyx. So she has put this together, and this is unique, and this is another memory that something that reminds me closely of my mom. So there are a set of earrings. One is pink, the other is black. I can use both pink or both red or one in one. This is coral that belonged to my mom. I'm sorry if this is very personal, but I think that this was very special. Here, again, a set of earrings that are not extremely precious. What is precious is actually the workmanship. Indeed, there's a very special workmanship to them. And then there are two earrings with a different colored pearls. And this is a very special ring. It's a pink tourmaline. The prongs are very special. Usually tourmaline are always colored, and finding one that is just one color that is so big is very peculiar to this ring. And this is another ring that I'd like to show you in paying tribute to Africa. This is a tanzanite, a beautiful piece of tanzanite, very big. And there's a special feature to it. I wanted to buy a diamond, and she said, there's something else that you can buy. And this is what she persuaded me buying. So I share these photographs to talk of her passion. This friend, she has established a link with her history, with the past history, with the treasures, with the icons, with the women icons, with wonderful decoration that have been revisited with the contemporary techniques. So she's carried out a research on Lucrezia Borgia and all the court in Ferrara. That is very much part and parcel of the history of the city. Aquamarina, over the years, has interpreted the precious stones as synonymous with Amany, the beauty. Skilled craftsmen have looked at the gemstones and have made them caged into different setting. She has developed pretty unique jewels. Decorations are a language as music. It is not superfluous, it is not casual, it is life matter, which is full of significance, that gives beauty, and as such is member to the life. This is the passion that our members have. A passion which I believe I shared with you.
Devi andar via. You have to go now? So we thank you for coming. We wish you all the best and see you in Montecatini. Well, I'm very much excited, so I hope that there will be tangible activities coming out from this event. Thank you. I forgot the name of the member. Valeria Conte Borasio. Sorry for that. So, as we are in favor of inclusion, I would like Cosimo Vinci to present, to introduce his friend, a designer. So here there is a fight between Padova and Patavium. So welcome to both of you. Well, Cosimo, you really opened your heart. It was a great pleasure. It's nice to meet you again because we had already met some years ago, and we share the love for art. Now, thinking about our federation, well, if you want to join, it will be a great honor to have you. And I'm sure that also the president and the federation and the section share my view. Now, we would like you to speak about what you do. And we are struck by your passion. And every morning you start again and you run until the evening. And then while you sleep, you also think about the next day. This is what you have transmitted and what you have shared with us. This is really an interesting meeting, an interesting event. And that shows that women, whatever the place, are all united. So we met incredible women today. It could be our sister, our teacher, our mentor. And they really opened our mind. So many thanks for the energy shared with us, and many thanks for the determination showed. So now the floor to you. Well, I'm in favor of women. Well, I work for women. I live for women. So I am the strongest feminist. Well, you cannot enroll you, no. Well, there are ways to support us. So I showed my willingness. So I'd like to introduce Alberta Vita, an artist. I think that many of you already know her because she had exhibitions in the most important museums in the world. Well, in the Vicenza Museum, which is the only jewellery museum in the world. And she also had an exhibition in Padova, at the MoMA in New York. She was selected as one of the designers to exhibit on the moon. And Cristoforetti took these jewels, and these will remain on the moon. So the first artist who exhibits on the moon. So apart from being a friend, we collaborate. We as a designer, and she has a laboratory in Padova. We organize courses. We teach at private schools. And we have seminars on research contemporary jewels, but also on commercial jewels. Now the floor to you, because she has a project which relates to Africa, Morocco in particular. When are you leaving? Friday. Okay. So thank you for being here. I'm very proud of that. Well, that project came out by chance. Well, I was in Marrakesh with some friends. They have a Riyadh where they organize art events. It is called Art July, and they asked me to create something. I had been selected for that exhibition on the moon, which is called the Moon Gallery. So they asked me to do a piece on the related to the moon. Well, they are very sensitive to the situation of young people in Marrakesh. So they asked me to work for this association called Maroc Africa, to work on a project which is called EUD, something like that. I cannot remember the name. And so I did a couple of lessons on jewellery, something simple and joyful. And we had both men and women. And this is something rare because when they do such courses, they always divide the two genders. And then when I came back home, they called me and they said it would be fine to have a jewelry school here. And I said, fantastic, because I had already spoken about that with Cosimo. So I will start on Friday, and we will have the first jewelry school in Marrakesh. All that on a voluntary basis. So it's all private. I go on a voluntary basis. They will have hospitality, but it's a project which is just started. I will teach about traditional jewels, but I will also add something about contemporary jewels.
Very much. I think this is the kind of partnership really we are looking at Africa. And I will also, as President for Africa Business Council, also chair for partnership of BPW International, will be happy to see how we establish partnership with you and Cosmos to see how to support with setting up the training schools in Africa. As Commissioner said, in the 5 regions of Africa, under the African Union, all Africa is coming together, and we are the private sector arm of African Union. So we'll be happy to see you and Cosmos to see how you can support. We'll be happy for this collaboration. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Grazie. Allora ci stiamo avvicinando alle conclusioni.
So we're getting close to the conclusions because it's 15 past 5. I will leave the floor to the International President for the final conclusions. On my side, I would like to thank you for remaining here, for participating. I would like to thank President Catherine and Amany for giving this opportunity to all the members of Italy, in particular the Northeastern District, of which I'm the President. So the whole city of Vicenza thanks you for being here. Many thanks to Carmela, who is a colleague, President of District Sicily. Well, I'm not following a hierarchical order. Many thanks to the National Vice President, Cettina Corallo, the International Vice President. Many thanks to Ippolito, to the Chief Financial Officer. Many thanks to all the those present here and those who have been with us online. And many thanks to my team. Grazie.
Le conclusioni e poi svizzeri, noi 5:15, poi 5:30 abbiamo finito e tornate a casa tranquillamente. Grazie. Svizzeri dentro, sì. Allora,
Vi salutiamo, grazie.
ciao Cosimo, grazie di
Thank
tutto.
you, thank you. Yes, already we developed partner with Cosmos. Yeah, very interesting.
Thank you very much. So, first thing first, un grande grazie a te, Carla Laura.
Quindi intanto grazie a Carla Laura, sei stato il nostro punto di appoggio qui a Vicenza. Stamattina l'ho chiamata. I called her at 6:30 this morning. I usually get up at 6, so it was no problem. I thought something got wrong. So, to try and attempt to wrap up this meeting, if we understand correctly, well, Africa needs equipment. And needs also training and education. So schools are to be set up. And as Cosimo just said, we have to teach them, but not just to show the Italian way and have them copy it. They have, in Africa, they have to develop their own style. They have to identify it. When I was traveling from Berna to Milan, I started talking to a friend, and I invited her to take the floor today because I think that she is providing our friend from Arabia contributed to this meeting, because I just met her on the train and I invited her to take the floor because she can advertise SMEs.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased. And so if we can include also the African space, Arab space, and connect to the African space, I think that is fantastic. And I would like to thank also all my colleagues here who came. I think we were really putting the finger also on the fact that we need sustainable mining. Che continuiamo con fare le miniere o utilizzare le miniere in modo sostenibile è molto importante.
So as I was saying in English, mining has to be sustainable. And digitalization is all important, as we've just learned with Amany in Cairo, also for a woman who works for the market, even for a farmer who tries to sell her fruit at the market. Well, digital payments are safe.
So this technology is very useful and facilitates life for everybody. So we have to support all that. And empower African women. That's very important also for us. So many thanks. Have a nice journey back, and hopefully we will meet again.
Dr. Catherine, BPW International President. Thank you, Carla. Thank you for all the great ladies from BPW International. I think this is a fantastic, fantastic closure for our high-level panel, Africa-Italy Private Sector Collaboration towards mineral development resources and empowering women in value addition of gemstones and jewelry manufacturing. All the partners that we have seen today, which start from International Federation of Business and Professional Women, Italian Expo Group, Africa Business Council, African Union Supporting Everybody, FEMNET, which is the Pan-African Women Communication and Development Network. All those partners are coming together today to see how we collaborate. And we have really constituted several new partnerships today with Cosmos, with also the jewelry tales by our friend here that is residing in Dubai, but will make collaboration in Africa. As President Catherine Bosshart, she said that this is very important to create the space for women across the whole world, and that's why BPW International is established 1930 by our Dr. Lena Medicine Phillips to see how we empower women across the world. And our mission really is how to empower women through partnerships, through building capacity, through training. So our take-home message for also all of you online and everywhere here, that we have been live here from Vicenza Oro, from the Italian Expo group, where we came together to empower our women, to see how we collaborate with Italian industries, how we can, all the technology, all the trainers from here, and the industries. Tomorrow we'll have an official tour with reference to the whole expo. And I really also want to thank all our sisters from BPW International, our VP membership, Giuseppina, our finance officer, Eufemia, the vice president for Italy, Cettina too, and of course, Vicenza, all my sisters, and president of Vicenza, BPW Vicenza, and president of the district, everybody. And my real take home is we all work together to establish those training centers in Africa. This will be great that all of us partner to establish those training centers with Italian designers and Italian machineries. So thank you very much. We will be honored to have you all and all of you online. And I believe Femnet also from Africa, we will be working together to realize this dream. Thank you for realizing the dream of women empowerment.
Grazie a tutte, grazie.
Many thanks, thank you. Many thanks to the interpreters and to the technicians. Thank you.